Over the past year, we've worked with clients from a range of different industries building AI solutions and more specifically AI agents. So consistently, the most successful implementations weren't just using complex frameworks, but instead they were actually building with simple and composable patterns. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through the proven strategies for building effective AI agents. Now, whether you're a developer or a business owner, these insights will transform the way that you think about AI. Here's what we're going to cover. It's going to be one, a clear definition of AI agents and how they differ from workflows, when and how you should use AI systems, the essential building blocks of effective agents, practical examples where agents add significant value, and how to adapt and combine these patterns for your unique needs. So by the end of this video, you'll have a comprehensive understanding of how to actually design AI systems that are efficient, reliable, and scalable. Now, let's start off with the foundational question. What exactly are AI agents? And this is a very controversial topic right here, if you haven't noticed already. But at their core, AI agents, they're essentially just systems powered by large language models that can make decisions and perform tasks. But what this really boils down to is that not all agents are created equally. So what I mean by that is some of these agents are fully autonomous and really capable of handling complex multi-step processes without any human intervention whatsoever. Others, in some cases, they operate within structured workflows and executing predefined steps for specific tasks. We like to use the term agentic systems to encompass both approaches, but with an important distinction. So workflows, these are structured. They follow predefined paths to complete tasks. And then we have the agents, which are flexible. They adapt dynamically, deciding on the best approach based on the situation at hand. So, you could think of workflows as assembly lines in a factory and agents as the problem-solving specialists. Beyond all this, we're going to explore when to use each approach and how they can actually complement one another. So this leads me to when to use AI systems. Now, the key is simplicity. So start with the least complex solution that meets your needs and scale up only when necessary. And I've ran into plenty of challenges working with clients and helping other entrepreneurs start their journey into building AI systems. So one thing that I've learned is that there's a clear line when to use AI agents and when they're simply not the right fit. So this leads me to an important question, which is when should you use AI agents and when are simpler workflows enough? I've broken this down into some pretty simple foundations. So first off, we have when to use workflows. And again, workflows are pretty ideal for predictable, repeatable tasks. And these could really include routing customer service queries to the right department, automating document processing with predefined steps, managing task handoffs in a project pipeline. Ultimately, these workflows, they shine when consistency and reliability are pretty paramount. They're perfect for scenarios where you can just map out the entire process and don't really need to do much decision making beyond the predefined steps. On the other hand, we have the agents. So when should you use these agents? Well, let me tell you that they excel in situations that require adaptability and decision making, as I covered earlier. For example, a coding agent that dynamically edits multiple files based on a project requirements, or maybe a research assistant that just aggregates and analyzes data from diverse sources. So, agents, they're go-to for open-ended tasks where workflows would be too rigid or limiting perhaps. But remember that with great flexibility comes even greater responsibility. So these agents, as you might be aware already, that they do require robust testing and oversight. So constant iterations, at least for the few weeks that you finish building it out. While workflows, they're like an assembly line. Agents, they just act more independently, like consultants capable of making decisions, on the fly. Now that we got that out of the way, let's explore a couple areas where these agents can actually provide some pretty exceptional value and just highlight some of the combinations of conversation and action that they handle so well. So number one, enhanced customer support. Now, AI-driven customer support systems, they leverage conversational interfaces and integrate with tools like maybe order databases and ticketing systems, so they can interact naturally with users to resolve issues or gather details and access customer data, order history, or internal knowledge bases, and also automatically quickly handle refunds or escalate complex queries. Now, the result from this is, better customer satisfaction, of course, also improved efficiency. So companies, they often structure pricing models based on successful resolutions or even reflecting their confidence in agent performance. Then we have coding assistants. Now, in the software development space, these agents, they tackle pretty much everything from debugging to solving GitHub issues autonomously. Now, why do they actually excel here? Well, automated testing validates their outputs in real time, and these feedback loops, they allow the agents to refine code iteratively. Also, their structured problem solving approach, it really just ensures consistent and measurable results time and time again. But in both examples, agents really just demonstrate their potential by combining adaptability and feedback integration and clear success criteria. But beyond that, let's break down the essential components of AI agents or AI systems. So these building blocks are going to be the foundation of everything that we will discuss in this video. And the first one is augmented LLMs. So the heart of any AI system, any agentic system, I should say, it's the augmented LLM. This is a language model that's enhanced with tools and memory and retrieval capabilities. Now, you can think of it as an expert equipped with a toolbox and the ability to remember past experiences. So tailoring the augmented large language model, I'll refer to as LLM, referring this or tailoring it to your specific use case is pretty critical. Now, let's try to relate this to some common use cases, I guess. So in e-commerce, in augmented LLM, it can generate personalized product recommendations by retrieving customer preferences and browsing history. And in customer service, it might pull from a knowledge base to answer queries while remembering past interactions for continuity. Tailoring these agentic systems, it's not just about adding more and more tools. It's really about ensuring that these tools can actually solve your specific problem. If you're adding or building an LLM for legal document review, maybe focus on retrieval capabilities and the language precision, not just memory. So the better the tools match the task, the more effective the system becomes. And ultimately, when you should actually be using these augmented LLMs is when the task requires combining large language models with external resources or maybe some specialized knowledge. They're really ideal for cases where user interactions need some real-time contextual responses or access to these detailed databases. Next up, we have prompt chaining, but as I refer to this as task sequencing workflows. Now, this is all about breaking down a larger task into something smaller, more manageable steps. Each step builds on the previous one, just ensuring accuracy and focus. Let me give you an example. A marketing agency might just use task sequencing to draft an ad campaign. So first generating the headline ideas, then refining the best ones, and finally producing the full advertisement copy. Or maybe in education, a learning platform might create a lesson plan and validate its structure, and then actually generate quizzes based on the content. And beyond just breaking down tasks, these task sequencing or these prompt chaining allows for dynamic checks at pretty much every stage. So you can include checkpoints where outputs are validated, really ensuring that each step meets a standard before progressing or moving on. So this just reduces errors and boosts reliability, of course. Now, when should you really use this prompt chaining? Well, this is really going to be best suited for processes that can be decomposed into, some logical linear steps. So I would use it when accuracy and validation at every stage are going to be critical, like content generation or lesson planning, procedural decision making, whatever. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. So this next one is going to be specialized routing workflow. And this ensures that different types of inputs are processed in the most effective way. Now, by separating these tasks into distinct categories of their own, you can pretty much fine-tune responses and improve the efficiency. To give you an example, in customer support routing workflows, it might send general inquiries to a chatbot while directing refund requests to a specialized system. Another one, let's look at healthcare applications. So for a healthcare application, routing this could differentiate between appointment scheduling and critical care questions, just ensuring that there's going to be appropriate prioritization among those two different entities. But it's important to remember that this isn't just about efficiency. So it's really about creating tailored user experiences. So when a system understands the type of input that it's going to handle, it can actually deliver outcomes that feel personalized and accurate to the whoever it is you're working with or whatever it is that you're working with. So to kind of break that down a little bit further, when should you use specialized routing? Well, you should choose this method when your application actually handles diverse input and, just diverse input types that require unique processing approaches. So it's ideal for customer service systems, healthcare applications, or any environment where clear input classification just enhances the efficiency. Let's move on to the next one, parallel processing workflow. Now, this allows tasks to be divided and completed simultaneously, which speeds up the workflows and providing diverse outputs. And this method, it shines in tasks where different elements can be handled independently. So some of these examples may include moderating content on a social media platform by splitting the workload into categories like text, image, and videos. And, this can also be put under reviewing a legal document section by section, for, let's say, compliancy and accuracy. And you could think of this parallel processing as having multiple specialists working on different parts of a project. So, it's not just about speed, it's about handling complexity by dividing it into manageable pieces. Now, when should you use parallel processing? Well, this is pretty much perfect for scenarios where tasks are going to be or can be broken down into independent subtasks like moderation, document review, creative brainstorming. So it's pretty useful when you need faster results by just leveraging simultaneous computations. And last but not least, we have the orchestrator worker model workflow. I refer to this as the dynamic delegation, but this orchestrator worker, it's going to be a flexible approach where a central system has to assign tasks dynamically to worker models. So unlike predefined workflows, this method, it adapts to the specific needs of the actual input. And some of these examples can include, like in software development, like a coding agent might delegate tasks like debugging and updating multiple files and writing tests to specialized worker models. Or maybe in market research, the orchestrator, it could gather data from different sources maybe and actually assign analysis tasks to various worker agents. So this isn't just about delegation, it's actually about orchestrating the entire thing. So the central model, it's going to ensure that the right resources are used at the right time, which really just makes the entire system more intelligent and adaptive. Now, when should you use this one? Well, this is going to be ideal for the complex, as you can imagine, the complex, more open-ended tasks where the number or nature, naturally, of subtasks isn't predictable. So you can use it for coding projects or data analysis, maybe large-scale creative tasks that just require real-time decision-making. Now, the patterns that we've discussed so far, they aren't just rigid templates. I really want to put a bunch of emphasis on that, but instead they're building blocks. So your job, whether you're a developer, a consultant, a business owner, it's to adapt and combine these approaches to solve your specific problems and fit the unique needs of your project that you're working on. So when customizing these patterns, it's really important to think about the nature of your task and its requirements naturally. So are you working with tasks that are predictable, or are they repetitive, or are you dealing with open-ended challenges that require some flexibility and constant adaptation? And I think by answering these questions, you can determine whether workflows or agents or a combination of both will deliver the best results for you. Now, the key steps for actually customizing patterns is understand the problem space. So just begin by analyzing your project's requirements, as I've already mentioned. So if the task is predictable and linear, then workflows will probably suffice. But if decision-making or variability is pretty critical, then you'll need to incorporate some sort of agentic system. Now, you could think of this as designing a toolkit. You picked the only tools needed to accomplish this job. Number two, experiment and iterate. Of course, no system is going to be perfect on the first try. So just run some small tests, gather feedback, make adjustments to improve outcomes over time. So for instance, if a customer service agent, it fails to address refund requests effectively, then you might tweak the routing workflow or add a specialized refund processing agent. So it could take a lot of different shapes and forms. But moving on to the third and final one is balanced cost and complexity. So if you're adding complexity to your system, this often increases costs, of course, and risks of failure. So if simpler workflows can't achieve the desired outcome for you, then avoid over-engineering it. But on the other hand, this is kind of where we run into some sort of conundrum. Don't hesitate to invest in complexity when it's necessary to solve some high-value problems. So what I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. dirty. Go on YouTube and learn what you have to do to get something across the finish line if necessary. But ultimately, try to think of these patterns like ingredients in a recipe. So combine them thoughtfully and test how it is. And from there, iterate and adjust as needed. Add more ingredients or add something else to supplement the taste of that. Maybe not the best analogy, but I think you kind of understand what I'm getting at, which leads me to my next point, the key principles for success in building these. Now, to build successful AI systems as a whole that are going to be efficient, that are going to be reliable and scalable, there's 3 core principles that you should follow. And these principles, they will serve as your guide and really ensuring that you are going to stay focused on what really matters. The first one being prioritizing simplicity. So as I keep iterating, start small and scale up only when necessary. So a simpler system, it's easier to build and debug and of course maintain. Now, for example, if a single API call can accomplish a task, then there's really not going to be any need to build a multi-step agent. It's just going to be impractical, redundant. So always ask yourself, is this as straightforward as it can be? Am I doing too much? Number 2 is ensuring transparency. So document every part of your system. So workflows and decision-making processes and how agents actually interact with external tools. This transparency, it not only helps with debugging, but also it builds trust. For instance, if an agent just recommends actions to a user, then showing the reasoning or data behind those decisions can actually make the system more trustworthy. And then number 3, we have focus on integration. So the real magic happens when tools like the APIs and LLMs, they work together seamlessly. You'll want to ensure that your components are just well documented and tested and actually designed to interact effectively. So a poorly integrated system, it can lead to inefficiencies or other errors, even if each individual part just works perfectly. But try to think of these principles as the foundation of some sort of house. If they're solid, then you could build a reliable and scalable system that can handle the demands of really any real world application. But as we wrap up, let's just revisit the main takeaways. So the goal of building effective AI agents, it isn't just about creating the most complex or impressive looking system. It's really not. Speaking from personal experience and building out, dozens of projects for clients and dozens of different systems. So it's actually about, believe it or not, solving real world problems efficiently and reliably. So just start with the simplest possible solution, evaluate its performance and really think about it and refine it over time if it's necessary. So, you can add complexity only when it demonstrably improves the outcomes, and always keep your focus on creating systems that are going to be transparent, beyond that, adaptable and pretty seamlessly integratable. So try to remember this, the value of an AI agent and an AI system as a whole, I would say, it lies in its ability to make life easier, not harder. So whether you're automating workflows and creating dynamic agents or maybe combining both, whatever, the end goal is to just save time and reduce costs and drive better outcomes for whoever it's going to be serving. Now, that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there like I normally do. But yeah, if you are a company looking to drive revenue and increase your bottom line, then check out the link down below in the description where we will implement custom AI solutions, whether that's anything agentic or some of the things that we discussed in this video, like the workflows, whatever that may be. Then check out the link down below in the description and see how we can save your company hundreds of hours every single year. Thank you guys for watching this video. And as always, I will see you in the next one.